right, let's do this. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to get the hard place badge right here. This is the brand new doors achievement that you can get by doing a 150% modifier boost in the mines. Basically, the mines version of Hotel Hell. So I'm going to hop into the modifier selection and I'm going to show you what mods I use. This is the mines, trust me, I don't know why it's showing this, but I'm going to show you what modifiers I used as well as some of my attempts for beating this. Now, before I show you what mods I use, I am going to reiterate that a lot of this is going to depend on your own personal skill, right? You might want to change these depending on how you personally play the game. For example, me personally, room for more, I can handle that. I can handle room for more just fine, but I know that a lot of people struggle with A90, so I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to consider what people generally have trouble with, and I'm going to try and make a strategy according to that. But like I said, everybody plays the game differently, and it honestly just depends on you individually. Feel free to change these modifiers as you go, but I'm going to show you what modifiers I use to complete this, and one that I think will generally be a pretty good idea for most people. Now, we're going to start with the most free modifier for this, and that is electrical work, ladies and gentlemen. So this makes it so that lights will not flicker, including entity warnings. Now, obviously, this is a little bit tricky for the hotel, right? Because in the hotel, the only way to know if Rush is coming is if the lights flicker. But the thing is, if you're in the mines, Rush also makes an earthquake when he is coming, so in the mines, you still have a visual cue on whether or not he is attacking, so this is honestly just completely free. Even if the lights don't flicker, you're still gonna know when Rush is on the way. If anything, I would argue that this just makes the game easier because when Rush passes through, he's not gonna break the lights, so now you have less dark rooms to deal with. Honestly, a great thing all around. I think the Gloom Bats will still break the lights, but even so, this one is just free. Absolutely pick this one. Now, we're also going to go with El Goblino's Payday and Out of Stuff. Now, for this strategy, I think I'm going to do generally the same thing that people did for Hotel Hell. And the strategy is really going to be to just go, right? The strategy is just to go. We're not going to worry about looting or anything like that. No gold, no items. Don't worry about it. We're just going to go. So this is honestly an easy 30% with that strategy in mind. There's also gone fishing and soundproofing. I did not personally use these, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure how they affect the run just yet. I haven't really tried it. Keep in mind, this update just came out a few hours ago, and we're still testing out things, still trying to find out the best possible loadout. So feel free to test these if you want. It is not something I went with because I feel like it is going to make the Grumble Nest a bit harder, which is, you know, it got nerfed, but it's probably still the hardest part of the game. We got these here. Obviously, you don't want wet floor with bad ventilation. They're gonna screw you up. I am going to put on Delted. This is a new mod. It increases the chances of a fire damp. Again, we are just going through, so this is really not a big problem. And if you're in a fire damp room and need to find fuses and stuff, that is fine. You can just go back to the other room and, you know, take a quick break. There is one specific situation where you can get bad RNG with a fire damp, and that is if you are doing the halt chase, and then after the whole chase, you have a fire damp room, and then you need to find fuses. Because after that, you're basically stuck in the fire damp room, and you're probably gonna die. Not really much you can do about that, but that's really just, you know, bad RNG, right? Nothing you can really do about that, but that is pretty rare scenario. We're gonna skip through most of these modifiers right here. They make things harder for you. I don't really think you want to hurt your health. Jamming is also probably one of the most difficult mods in my opinion. Now, unfortunately, we do have to buff some entities here, which I've tried to avoid as much as possible, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm gonna put on Rush Hour. I feel like Rush is one of the most simple entities. Initially, I thought about just putting in I'm Running here, but trust me, they buffed this mod significantly. Don't do it. We're gonna go with Rush Hour. At this point, you probably know how to deal with Rush if you're watching this video. Battle of Wits, this one can be pretty tricky. Just, you know, keep count of the doors you are on, and remember that Rush, keep in mind he's gonna open the door in front of you, so keep count of that. I'm gonna put on Think Fast, not Think Faster. I feel like that's a little more unforgiving in my opinion. I put on Think Fast, a little bit of a 5%. Enough time to react to Screech, but, you know, nothing super unforgiving. Now, again, our strategy is to just go. We're not going to be looting much. We are going to be putting on Itchy. Now, you can get unlucky if you are searching for fuses, but again, I don't really think it's that big of a problem. I put on Nosy. Surprisingly, this is probably one of the hardest mods here because Giggle spawns super often despite me not putting on any mods for Giggle. Spoiler alert, don't put on any mods for Giggle. He is the worst. This guy was tough because I had to deal with giggles while also dealing with eyes. So you actually might want to turn this one off and maybe put on something like soundproofing. Again, haven't really tried out the guiding light mods yet. Feel free to test them. I haven't really checked them out yet. For my run, I did Nosy. Come back here. This one's pretty easy. It just makes Figure a little bit faster. Figure's not even that much of a prominent threat in the mines. You see him a couple times. You just go through the rooms. He's not even like a boss like he is in the hotel. So not a big deal. And if you know how to deal with Figure, you should be fine. It can run too. This makes Seek a little bit faster. If you already know how to deal with the Seek chases, you should be fine with this one. It's just a little bit less forgiving with mistakes, but let's be honest, the mines were pretty unforgiving with Seek chases to begin with. Just keep in mind that, spoiler alert, there is a brand new Seek chase in the mines. They revamped the second Seek chase entirely. We're not gonna touch Ambush at all. He's a pain in the butt. Rents do. This is going to make Hide attack a lot faster, so really the bottom line is be sure to time your rush hides. It can be a little tricky to get the hang of, but again, we have to buff some entities, and this is a whopping 15%. We kind of have to take this. So another mod I put on is Destiny Still Arrives. To be honest, it's still a little unclear what this does. Obviously, this is a modifier for Dread, who spawns if you take too long in a room. It's kind of weird that they didn't give this a description, but it's there. And the best way I can describe this modifier is that Dread spawns a lot more quickly, and he seems to spawn faster as the run progresses. Now again, our strategy is to just go, so for the most part, Dread should not be much of a problem unless you get terrible RNG and you get like the sewer maze or something. Then you're done for. But for the most part, this should not be too difficult to deal with as long as you are constantly moving and just getting through the game. If you are still having trouble with Dread though, you can just put on Run from it and put in something else. And the last mod that I put on is Vacuum Sealed. This adds in the vacuum entity from the back doors. So basically, some of the side floors are not gonna have anything in them. Again, this should not be a problem in most cases because we are just going. Of course, if you have a fuse box and you need to find some fuses, then just be sure to watch out for vacuum in that situation. But honestly, I would argue this helps for finding fuses because, hey, you have a lot less rooms to look through. So yeah, this is a pretty good modifier all around for this challenge. We're not going to deal with any of these other entities because, to be honest, they're pretty challenging. So yeah, this is the loadout that I did. Again, I doubt it's perfect. This is just something that I feel like would probably be some of the easiest for, you know, the less experienced Doors players, but it is still going to be quite challenging. If there's any changes I would make for this, again, I think out of all these, I think Nosy was actually the hardest one to deal with, and Dread got pretty stressful in the end game. Anyway, here are some of the attempts that I did as well as the successful one. I'm gonna give you guys some other tips as we go through these runs. I'm also gonna tell you another way to get this badge that honestly does not involve much skill at all. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's get into it. And I'm not dealing with the Gloom Bat, so I think might as well just buy everything, right? I mean, we don't have too many light sources, so might as well just get as many as we possibly can. And yeah, we're just gonna go, right? When you need to find fuses, search for fuses. But other than that, now there is something that Elsplash actually did change recently. It's actually not from this update, but there is something he changed recently, being that if you play this multiplayer, as long as one person makes it to the end, then everyone gets the badge. Even if people die, as long as they stay spectating, then everyone will still get the badge for completing this challenge. So if you have friends who can help you out with this, that is great. That is amazing. And if you're going through this video and you're still having trouble finishing this challenge, we are probably going to do some live streams trying to get this badge to as many people as possible, because I think at this point, we can fit like 50 people in a server. 49 people can die. As long as one person makes it out alive, then we are fine. And there is an earthquake, so be prepared for rush. Just be sure to hide. We are going to have to time it pretty good because of Rent's due, so keep that in mind. I feel like out of all entities to buff, it would probably be rush. There's vacuum. Okay, we do have to move kind of quickly because Dread is still a threat. It's gonna look up and shine the light because I know that Giggle's there, but I don't want to look at eyes. I don't even have any Giggle modifiers, and Giggle seems to spawn a lot more. I don't know what it is. I don't have any mods with him active. Again, make sure you are keeping count of the doors. That is pretty important. If you have a fire damp room, just keep it moving. Don't worry too much about it unless you have like a rush spawn or something. Hey, there's another rush. Again, be wary of the earthquakes. That is your indication that rush is going to spawn. The lights will not flicker. And I'm gonna stress this again. By all means, you know, these are the modifiers I am going with here. As always, it's going to depend on your own playstyle. style. So by all means, feel free to take off or add any modifiers that you know, feel comfortable with, because there really is no set strategy to complete this, right? I'm trying to, you know, sort of follow through with what people tend to have the most trouble with in the game. But it's always up to the individual, right? At the end of the day. This is a very long fire damp room. We are definitely going to want to move quickly through this one. Try to memorize the layouts of the rooms as much as you can so you can get out of here quickly. Don't loot, no nothing. There's another rush. Just kidding. It's a fake rush spawn. Keep an eye out for those. Anyway, here's Figure. He's really not too different from how he normally is, right? Just avoid him. Probably already know how to deal with him by now. Just crouch so that he can't hear you. Oh, and there's a giggle on my face. As always. Good thing we have a bandage pack at the pre-run shop. That's really nice. So even if you're out of stuff, if you make any mistakes, you can still heal. Here is the new Halt Chase, by the way. In case you haven't seen it yet, you have to decide which path to take. Most of the paths are going to be blocked off, so you're going to need a little bit of foresight and make sure that you're going the right way. Right now, it just seems I have to keep right, but that might have to change. In my opinion, this is easier than the previous Halt Chase that we had for the mines. You can walk backwards, as always, not a big deal. And here's the Halt Fire Damp Room. Again, I'd say that's pretty much the only kind of RNG we have for this run. If it is a Fire Damp Room with fuses, then yeah, you're dead. I mean, to be honest, I think that can happen in the normal game anyway if you're really unlucky. But yes, this mod does increase the chances. If you don't like that, then by all means, again, use different modifiers if you wish. But yeah, at this point, I am mostly just saving my light sources for giggles, just to take care of them. There's another one. That is devious, dude. Wow. Another trick, if you see eyes go blurry, that typically means that there is a screech near you. And again, if you're worried about rush spawning, you can always hang out by a locker for a little bit, but remember, Dread is pretty aggressive right now. And we have the Sea Chase coming up soon. It is no longer guaranteed at 140. I actually think it is instead 142. And the chase itself is actually a bit shorter. Quite a few less doors to deal with. Now, again, we do have a Seek modifier on. But as long as you know what you're doing with the Sea Chase, it's really not that big of a deal. I think the Sea Chases in this game are pretty unforgiving regardless. Like, you really have to know what you're doing for these. But yeah, like always, just follow the guiding light. Don't make any mistakes. And yeah, I mean, it's basically just the Sea Chase again, right? But remember, the second Sea Chase is now completely different. And it looks sick, actually. So, I mean, if you're gonna go with this modifier with Seek running quickly, make sure you know what you're doing. I've done it once, and I think I know what I'm doing. I'm not certain. Here we are in the minecart section. Again, this is shorter. You have less doors to deal with the Sea Chase, which is nice. And like I said, this section has always been kind of unforgiving, and I died. Am I the only one who has trouble with Sea Chase with the new guiding light? I mean, like, it's visually better. I feel like I should know where I'm going, but I don't. I don't know, I still feel like there's way too many sparklies for, like, me to adjust. You know what I mean? Anyway, hopefully we should get it this time. Again, just, you know, follow the guiding light. Normal Sea Chase stuff, really. As long as you just keep going, you should still beat this just fine. The increased speed really does not change that much. And there we go. Now we move on to the Grumble Nest, which is pretty much the same as it always is, right? And again, they actually made the Grumble Nest a lot easier. You actually don't need to go to this terminal anymore after each and every anchor. Once you activate one, you can activate the next. And there is also a very nice visual aid showing you where the anchor is. So if you have trouble hearing, not a big deal. You still have to kind of look for it. You need to know the layout of the nest for the most part, but it, you know, it absolutely does help. There's some more shortcuts as well if you happen to have the shears, which obviously for this run we don't. That said, I believe the giggles are pretty much the same as they always are, so for the most part, remember, just stay in tight areas where the grumbles can't reach you, you know, get into many hiding spots as possible, try to avoid them, listen carefully for them, and definitely stay far away from the queen. As a reminder, the queen has a mark on her forehead. We actually saw her earlier. The one chasing me right now is a normal grumble. Another change they made, which again is not really relevant to us because we don't have items, but you can actually get rid of the patrol grumbles using the crucifix, which is really nice. So if you have a crucifix, you can get rid of the patrolling grumbles. But again, that does not work on the queen, the one with the red scar on her forehead. If you use the crucifix on the queen, it won't work. It will not kill her, but you will get a new achievement for it, which is very nice. But like I said, after all of this, if you are still having trouble beating this, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to live stream doing multiplayer. And again, if you die there, that is totally fine. As long as one person makes it to the end, you will get the badge. But yeah, typical grumble nest here. If you're trying to get this badge, you probably already know how to deal with the grumbles. And there we go. We are out of the nest with really no issues. Haven't really taken much damage. Well, I did take a lot of damage, but I do have the bandage pack right here, which is really nice. Really just a matter of getting through this. Business as always. And here we have the silly new Jeff shop. Honestly, it looks great. And look at that. The game still gives us a free figure clock. I was not expecting that, but I will absolutely make use of it. But there's the Jeff shop. Obviously, we don't have money. We're not going to get anything, but hi, Jeff, and bye, Jeff. Okay, we have ambush here. Again, alternate between the hiding spots. It feels like with this update, ambush does spawn quite a bit more often than he used to. And there's Dread. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, here is the new Seek Chase, ladies and gentlemen. I've only done this once. Hopefully, I still know what to do. I think it's still pretty simple. Look left and right, both ways, and wow. Getting rid of the music gets rid of the sound effects too. That's weird. But yeah, just follow guiding light. Look for the blue door. Make sure you know which way to go. There were some cages here. Spam E to get rid of them. Seeing the grumbles a lot in this section. Just keep moving. And there's Dread. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, we're running. Not too worried about Dread now, are we? Did not think we would see Dread in a Seek Chase of all things, but there we go. And for some reason, we never got the third figure encounter. So that's cool. We take those. All right, and now we're just doing Seek in the Dam. Business as usual, just parkour. Stay on your toes, keep moving, don't get hit by the stuff. Again, if you're looking to get this badge, you've probably already done this before. But don't underestimate it though, because from my experience, trust me, this is still pretty easy to fumble. All right, well, we made it. There it is. All right, completed Mines Hotel Hell, aka a hard place. I think that's what it's called. Again, here are the modifiers I used. I think generally this shouldn't be too bad. Dread got pretty stressful at the end. I think Dread might actually spawn more the further you go in. But of course, he does pause for the boss fights, you know, the Grumble Nest. But still, Dread did get pretty stressful there, and that might have been why the third figure was skipped. I don't know. That was weird, but I'm glad I didn't have to deal with it. But yeah, if Dread becomes a bit too much in the late game, you can always just nerf him a little bit. You will just have to add in something else, maybe buff an entity a bit. I think Nosy also makes this surprisingly challenging just to deal with the giggles. I think removing Nosy is also pretty fair, and maybe just adding in Snare instead of Eyes, which is really weird. That's definitely not something I would do in the hotel, but I think for the mines that might actually be a better option. But there it is complete. I should get both badges for this actually, because I never got the 50% modifier thingy. But yeah, there it is. Got both of them. Look at that. I know I've said this throughout the video, but change these if needed. And tune into the live streams if you're still having trouble, because we will definitely work together on getting this badge. Again, all you have to do is be in a game with somebody who wins, and this will be in the bag. Doesn't seem like these badges have pictures yet, but hopefully at some point it will. All right, cool. See you later for more Doors videos. Definitely going to do a lot of live streams and stuff, so that's going to be great. All right, cheers.